Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Tonight, we have a very special episode because not only is it episode 100, but we have a big announcement for you guys later. It's pretty personal to my company, but we're going to get to it. But before we get to all of the fun stuff, I've got a couple guys joining me tonight. I've got Connor Teich, who's the co-owner of a real estate company where they manage rentals, they flip homes, and he also has a residential real estate license, so he helps families buy, sell homes in the Phoenix metro area. We have Alex von Reich, who is the owner of Control Analytics. He's our data and AI expert, keeping us updated on new developments, keeping everything real rather than the everything's amazing, everything's going to burn us to the ground, Terminator style, with new developments in the industry. And then I have a general contracting company focusing on residential remodels here in Arizona, last year doing $850,000 in projects. So we've got a full docket to review for our businesses from the last month, what we're working on, what we're going to do to grow. And we're going to finish out the podcast with the segment we call Company Thoughts. But before we get to that, we need to catch up with the boys. So, boys, how are we doing?
Ooh, so good.
This is my last year in my 20s.
Yep.
I just had a birthday, the golden birthday, 29 at 29. I'm feeling good for this final year. Alex, you've been there.
Yes.
Many years ago.
So
That
many
year
years
coming
ago.
up soon. But that was fun. It's just after Christmas, so we have my wife's the day before mine, so we have an eventful week of Christmas.
Nice.
But
Do you
it
just
is
get one
always
present
fun.
for both Christmas and your birthday?
No, I get lots.
Wow.
And she knows the pain.
You're special.
Yeah, special. We have 4 holidays in a week, and it's always a crazy week.
Yeah.
So,
What's the coolest thing you guys did for Christmas or for your birthday?
Ever?
Well,
Ever?
this year.
This year,
I was about to say.
I don't know. My daughter started walking on my birthday.
Oh, nice.
And taking steps, and then my birthday, just darting across the house. And now it's been a week, and she's running. So
Yep.
that's how that goes.
Yep.
Hasn't smashed her face on anything really hard yet. I know that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. My son did that and immediately started running and then ran straight into a corner of a wall and had a nice cut on his head for a week.
Oh.
So, yep.
Yep. You guys know the drills.
Oh yeah.
But
That's pretty cool.
Good. Yeah. How was your Christmas, Alex?
Good, except I got sick at the end of Christmas. I was just not feeling good. Went to bed super early and then slept all day the next day. And it's been weird. It's been one of those sicknesses where one day you feel fine and the next day you wake up, you feel like crap. Today was one of the days where I feel like crap. So if my voice just stops working or I start coughing up a lung, you know why. I also did a polar plunge in -5 degrees in Lake Michigan, which was actually super fun. And I was honestly fine getting out into the water, sitting down, and then I dunked my head underwater and my body was like, "Oh, you're dying. Time to freak out now." And I was like,
Hey, your first Midwest winter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now nothing's cold anymore.
It's not cold here either.
Yeah. What is a frigid 65 degrees right now?
Yeah, pretty nice.
I think it was closer to 70 something today.
What about you, Thaddeus?
For Christmas, we had a lot of family stops that we made Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve through day after Christmas were really busy, and usually I'm fine with it and usually excited for it. This year, I was ready for it to be done. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to just sit down and hang out. But it was good. Got to see everybody. Everyone was under the impression that I really love Frisbee golfing. So I got several gifts that have to do with Frisbee golfing. And I was like,
do you love it? Why did they think that?
Because my wife and I go occasionally and it's something that we do together, but they decided that I needed new discs. And then my very own frisbee golf basket for the house, and I was like,
Oh.
okay. This
Guess
is
I'm
me
a golf
now.
guy. This
Is
is my
this
whole
your family?
personality.
Giving you gifts or hers?
My brother-in-law and my wife.
Nice.
So I'm pretty sure she coordinated with him to make it happen.
She's like, oh yeah,
So-
he also wants this, and he wants a makeover and spa day.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
see your bag later? I want to see your little.
Yeah.
I don't have a bag. Like, this is usually when my wife and I go play, we have 2 discs each. We've got a driver, you just throw it till you get within like 15 feet, and we've got a putter, and that's it. And then It's nice because you just need the 2 discs, and we walk through a park together and just have fun. Now my new pack has 3 new discs, and I've got my new basket to practice at home. So
there you go.
Yeah, that'll be getting a lot of views. But anyways.
Well, I mean, not to brag, but my wife got me signed us up for curling because I was like, I wanted to try it, and I mentioned it offhand, and then she's like, "Great, I scheduled curling." I was like, "Oh, I was okay, all right." It's kind of like the golf thing. You're like, you mentioned it once, like, you love it now. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
This so is you.
So I guess I'm a curling guy now.
Did you get any stones, or are you just gonna go?
No, we're just gonna go. Apparently,
that's next Christmas.
Yeah,
you're gonna get four gifts that are like 100 pounds a piece. And go, what's this? Granite. I got you granite with a handle on top.
I used up our whole savings to buy you the best stones, and I signed you up for meet and greet with the women's Olympic team.
Signed you up for 30 lessons, already paid for.
Yay!
All right, now here's the real question though. Did you spend a lot of money on your wives for Christmas, or are we talking a lot of crap and you didn't take care of your wife for Christmas?
No, I mean, I the thing is I told my wife I didn't want anything for Christmas. I said, I don't need anything. And she's like, oh. And then I was like, but I'll get you something. She's like, okay. so I got her.
And did you get her something good?
Yeah, I got her like she wanted a ton of fragrances and like some spa day stuff, and I even throw in a her day where she can have the entire day to herself, no kids, and then go do whatever she wants.
Especially no Alex.
That's especially no
Alex. Yeah, I spoiled my wife.
Yeah, what'd you get her?
There's this there's a bike for CrossFit that she really wanted, and so we kept talking about, and I was like, hey, Christmas budget is $50. Christmas budget is $50. And I kept telling her, like, I got you a gift that was $46.75. And she's like, hey, I went a little over budget. And I was like, why? You're not supposed to go over. And then Christmas Day comes around and there's a $1 bike in our garage.
So slightly over budget.
Yeah, a little bit. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But, yeah. Oh, did I tell you about my drones?
No.
Okay, so Ethan and I, Ethan's my employee, we're in Home Depot picking up an order, and we look over and there's drones for $30. I was like, you stay in line. I'm going to go check this out. So we go buy one. We assemble it in the parking lot, but need to charge the batteries. So we charge the batteries all day while we're working, get back to my house, and immediately try and figure it out. We're flying it into everything. But once we figured out how to kind of get it to work, we're like, this is the coolest thing ever. Now, it worked out that the day we got the drones was the day we were having our company Christmas party. So while we're there, I'm like, hey, this thing is awesome. There's a bunch of us. We should go buy a bunch of drones and go back to my house and play with them. And so we all go to Best Buy. And when we're there, my wife is like, what are you doing? And as we're looking at these drones, I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, are you just buying things? Like, which one are you going to buy? Because they range from $30 to $1,500. And so I kind of turned to the guys while she was distracted with our son. And I was like, hey, buy 2 of this one of this one. And I point to the ones I wanted, and Ethan has a company card. So I was like, he's can just go to the checkout. So I go over to be with her and like, we're going to look at other things. And then they start going like, we don't have the company card because he left his wallet wherever. So I have to go like sneak my card to them and then go back. So anyways, we go back to the house and my wife's just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, what are you talking about? And she knows something's up, but she doesn't know what I did. Funny thing is she thought I bought her an iPhone for Christmas, which we've never talked about getting her an iPhone for Christmas. But yeah, we ended up breaking out the drones and like we're playing with them. My son is just staring at them as we're flying them around the house, and my dog is losing his crap. So they're a blast. I would recommend it.
Oh yeah, RC
Best
cars
Buy?
are also a great investment. It keeps my son and my dogs both very very active. They love chasing it.
Nice.
I got to get some. Best Buy or Home Depot, you said?
Amazon's pretty good too.
Amazon.
Yeah, you can probably get them
Anywhere.
off of Amazon. We got two of them that they're $30. They're about like the size of your palm, and they don't have a camera or anything, but they have the bumpers around the wings, and you can fly them around in the house. And they're perfect for learning the controls because for the most part, the controls for the drones are all the same as far as how to turn them, how to go up, down, directionally, all that stuff. So it's a great drone to learn on before you do anything where it's like, oh, we'll get something with a camera. Because we got two that were $30 and one that was $70. And the $70 drone has a camera on it, but you kind of have to know how to control it before you can really use the one with the camera. So it was nice to have the $30 ones. And you can zip them around and you can make them do flips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dang, that's cool.
It's fun.
Yeah. So
That's a
it was
great
good time.
Christmas party.
Yeah. Oh, what's nice is also since my sister and my cousin who work for me aren't married, Christmas dinner is pretty cheap. I mean, I was looking at the bill at the end. I was like, this is a lot cheaper than I expected it to be. But no one's buying alcohol really, and there's no spouses. So
there you go. That keeps it cheap.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Not for me.
All right. Well, because it's the 100th episode, I had to do something a little special. So we've got, I might need to remove my background. We've got our first chocolate milk of the evening. We have our second chocolate milk of the evening. So we step up from 12 ounces to 32 ounces. And then to complete the holy trinity of chocolate milk, we have the half gallon, which is a lot of ounces. So
54.
We're going to pop the small one open, and throughout the podcast, you'll see me just work my way through these guys, and we'll see how far we get. But since it is the 100th episode, wanted to recap a couple things real quickly. We started this 5 years ago. There have been 36 guests. We've had some repeats, but not including that 36 number. I'm estimating close to 40 gallons of chocolate milk. Great time spending evenings with the boys, talking about what we're doing. We had a year where we recorded a podcast every week. I think we went 50 out of 52 weeks that year. It was kind of nuts. And I will start removing them from the internet because I don't remember everything we said. And I know at a certain point we were like showing up every week, but the content got a little like it just shouldn't be on the internet. But since then, we've been pretty good with being more serious. So we appreciate everyone who's been listening to the podcast. We had the Spotify Wrapped on our side. So like we get to see that there's some people we're their top show, and we don't get a lot of viewers. So we assume that people are probably going to Spotify just to listen to it for us. So we appreciate the few people that do listen to us in each year, especially for 2026. We're going to try and make sure that each episode is worth consuming and worth your time. So with that, let me pop my chocolate milk open, and then we're going to get into the business portion of the episode because I've got a couple things to go over. So let's recap the numbers for all of last year. Last month in December, we did $46,000 in gross sales that we brought in. That brought our year to $851,000. And our goal for next year is going to be go to $1.2 million in total sales. So our real goal based off of that is going to be having a 10% net profit margin. So this year, I think we talked about it last month, didn't really have a great net profit margin on everything, and that's going to be our real focus for the year. And then little kind of aside, I spent the last 2 years really reporting every dollar that we've made for the podcast, and I'm like, this is going to be the last time where I'm telling you, like, hey, we're going to try and do $1.2 million in sales for the year. I'll probably give an indicator like, hey, sales are good, or where general indicators, I might use percentages going forward, but I'm just going to not get into too much the dollars and cents. So action steps from last month, we wanted to get a job locked down. So we've got one that we've got an addition that we got a verbal approval on. So that's great. So we're doing some selections on Friday. And then we have a smaller job that's already underway. So that's kind of nice. So we've got things that are in the works right now, but we just got to get everything up to speed for 2026. So one of the things that we wanted to do for this episode is say, as we look forward into the year, what do we want to be saying looking back in the coming December? So it's what I hope my recap is, that we had a lot of lead generation from our cold outreach campaign, and that as we were getting busier, Esther and Ethan, and if we do have to bring anyone else onto the team, that we're able to handle all the work that we have, but also make sure that I'm not the point of the spear that's having to do all the work, that I'm able to start delegating that. And I feel confident in the way that everyone's able to handle that. So there's a huge learning curve for them being brought up to speed. So that's something that I want to really focus on this year. So to get pretty specific with it, action steps for next month, and it ties a little bit into my lesson or topic, which is going to be trying to get more involved with our cold outreach campaign. So I've been in the last month, last 2 months, it started to cross my mind that I think I'm just doing too many things, and we've got a couple things that seem to be working, and one of them is the cold outreach campaign. So instead of me being distracted on something else, it's how do we just double down our efforts on the thing that's working? So I really want to get into that because we've had some fantastic leads. So that's what we're going to be doing for the most part. And then we're going to be we'll have an email campaign on top of it, and that's going to be a big part of what I want to be doing with that. So, and we're going to kick off that email campaign with our big announcement, which after I get some chocolate milk, we'll get into.
Drum roll. Alex, give us a drum roll.
I don't know.
Heard none of
that. I kind of
saw you doing it.
I had to sell it.
All right. That's one down. We'll pop the next one up in here in a second. All right. We're going to take a little bit of a detour real quickly, just so everyone's all brought up to speed. There is a thing called post-tension concrete. Now, what is that? Post-tension concrete is something they came up with in the 1930s and 40s, and it was a new way of laying concrete. It's where they would lay down a grid pattern of cables, pour their slab on top of it, and then put the cables under extreme tension. And it would allow for a stronger concrete. You could use it in settings that you couldn't typically use a normal slab in. And so it started to gain popularity. In the 50s and 60s, it started getting used in the commercial industry. And then Arizona specifically started using it for the slabs for their houses right about the 2000 mark. Now, if you're wondering, why does this matter at all? It seems like a tangent, big news, don't get it. Okay. These slabs make it very difficult for a remodeler to do their job. There are things called curbless showers or zero-step showers. It's where the tile in your bathroom floor is the same plane as your shower floor. And the way that we do that is we cut out all the concrete in the shower, go down, we might need to move the drain, and then rebuild our shower in that footprint so everything flattens out correctly. But with these post-tension cables, if you cut them or break them, you can severely damage the slab that you're working on, which would be thousands of dollars of repair work, or you could even severely hurt the person who is doing the demo in the room. And we don't want either one of those. And a lot of people in the industry don't even want to deal with it because of those reasons. So most people have kind of just put that on the back burner because for the most part, it's only been 25 years at this point of houses that have been like that. So if you go back 10 years, you only had a run of 15 years of houses that needed to be done. Now we're having these houses come due for remodeling. And that's important because a lot of people wouldn't touch them. They'll deal with the houses that are 90s and before. Hey, it's a lot easier just for them to do it. That's where the bulk of the client base is anyway. So if I can't deal with this small percentage of a client base that's going to be more dangerous, require a lot more effort, all that, then why would I do it? Well, they left it alone. I looked at it as we're going to have to deal with this at some point. And at some point came our way, which I was very excited about because it made it where we had to figure it out. So not only do we know how to do it, not only do we have the team to do it, we've already completed our first project that required us to tear out the concrete, make sure that we had everything in the right spot, move our plumbing, and get it all done. So we are now one of the very few contractors in Arizona that knows how to do remodeling on post-tension slabs. This might seem like whoop-de-doo for you, but in the industry, this is a huge deal. If you go around asking other subcontractors, who do you know that knows how to do this? It's like, I might know a guy, but otherwise no one knows. So we're about to put this thing on blast. We're going to start calling people, telling them, hey, we know how to do this. If you have any contractors that run into this, they don't want to touch it, send them our way. We'll take care of it. I'm bidding another project right now with a post-tension slab, and it's very much, yeah, I know what to do. Here's how we'll do it, and we'll go from there. We're going to put it in an email campaign. It'll be on Instagram. It's going to be on YouTube. For us, it's a big deal. Like, it's very nerdy. I understand that, but this is something where I would love to see it as we become almost like a specialty remodel. Hey, these guys can do things that other people can't. And this is a big step in that direction. So we're super excited about getting that done and be able to pump this out and say, we've got it.
Dude, that is so exciting. How did you guys go through that process? Like what is this something that you've been trying to do for a while now, or how did this come about?
Give us all.
I've got a story. So I've wanted to be able to know how to do it for a while, just general curiosity. But we had a project come up where someone has some mobility issues, and they had a tub shower that needed to be converted to a curbless shower. And it was on a post-tension slab. They told us it was on a post-tension slab, and I had a vague idea of how to do it. So I was like, yeah, we'll do it. And found a company to come out. And so there's some things I am not going to get into all the way because it's usually I'm very open with processes and just giving it away. I'm not giving this one away. I'm going to flip a coin between 6 months to a year, and it's not even that complicated. But essentially, the first step that everyone knows is you need to find out where the cables are. So we had a company come out and locate the cables for us. And so I start telling my tile contractor, hey, if this is all it takes, we know how to do it. A lot of people are just scared. We're going to be fine. And I'm the one who's doing the demo on this shower. Well, some of the cables were mislocated, and it worked out for us because they were marking things that, hey, a cable should be here, and it wasn't, as we're carefully doing our demo. So we called them out to redo it. They relocated it. But in in the time between when we stopped and when they came out there, I started doing a little bit more YouTube research to see, is anyone else doing this? Does anyone else even does anyone have a video on how this works? The only videos that are out there of these slabs failing and these cables like destroying things in their path. Come to find out too, the way that I was doing it in this particular bathroom, if I had continued with my plan, I may have just blown my whole self up in that area because of those cables are under 33,000 psi, and if they release from their end, they've got a plate that would fly up in there, and we could have had a very damaged Thaddeus. But so that led us to, we needed to re-look at how we were going to figure that out. There was part of that project that the project was not a rush, and the homeowners didn't need it done till the beginning of the year. So we moved our schedule around to start doing other parts of the project that we were waiting on, and started just saying, we need to fully understand what we're doing, how we're doing this. And that led us to, we've got kind of a 2-step process now for showers and on how to do it, but we know how to do it for kitchens now after kind of working through everything. So I wanted to know how to do it. I knew that those houses were coming due. I also thought it was stupid that everyone was telling me, hey, yeah, you just can't do it, or you just need to locate the cables and do something. And it's like, all right, but no one's willing to touch it. I've talked to other contractors where I just tell customers like, I can't do it. And it's like, okay, but if someone has an issue underneath their foundation and we need to go get to it, what do we do? So I just knew it needed to happen at some point. And for me, I looked at it as, if we could be very early adopters on it, then it puts us in the position we're in now, where we'll go get to shout it from the rooftops. Everyone might be able to jump in line very quickly behind us, but we're first. So we'll be able to go scream it at everyone that, hey, we know how to do it. And John at ABC contracting down the street might be able to do it 3 months from now, but by that time, hopefully it's, yeah, everyone knows how to do it. But my name's been circulated around already that this guy, he knows what to do.
That's awesome, Thad.
Yeah, way to take the initiative there.
That's pretty cool.
I am super pumped. Like, I've got cleaners going in for that spot, and we're going to be taking photos tomorrow. So it's going to, yeah. Very nerdily pumped.
For good
I think
reason.
I think that's a completely fair thing to be nerdy about.
Yeah. All right. Connor, what do you got for us?
What is up, everybody?
What is up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? So it's kind of numbers for our industry. Active close interest rates. Interest rates are pretty even. They're pretty steady, right at 5.4 plus some tenths and hundredths. So right at 5.4%. Closes, it went down this month quite a bit, almost 800.
Real quick, before we move on from that, the 5.442 that we have listed, does that mean if I came to you and said, hey, Connor, I'm looking to buy a house right now, what do you estimate my interest rate would be on my mortgage? It's 5.442, or is that the Fed's interest rate?
That is your interest rate. With a caveat, this is 20% down, Phoenix specific.
Good credit. Yeah.
Good credit. Yeah. All those things. So if you're 5%
not guaranteed,
down,
disclaimers down at the bottom, don't hold us to it.
Yeah.
I'm holding you to it.
I've said it on previous pods, so check those out. Yeah, this is 20% down, conventional financing in zip code in Phoenix. So anything different from that might vary up and down. But it stayed steady from last month, and that's kind of all around the board, staying steady. Closes are down about 800 houses since last month, so fewer closes, and that's expected as we get into Christmas time, the holidays, the end of year. just like Thad season construction, people don't want to renovate on Christmas Day. So I suspect January will kick up, since it typically does in Phoenix with the good weather and the snowbirds coming out. Active houses went down about 3,000, so from 27,000 down to 24,600, and that's a drop. Maybe some expired listings, some taking off markets, and some closes, and fewer listings. Recap our specific numbers. December, we were 100% collected. January, we're sitting at about 90, with communication from all the other tenants. Few people are going to be late. Few of the stragglers that are typical. We have 3 vacancies right now, 1 house and 2 apartments that we can fill up pretty easy. And with that, we had a few vacancies last month. We did something we don't typically like to do, but we tried it again, is moving tenants around and offering tenants, if they need to move up in a space, that they can move apartments with no extra cost. So I had a person move out of a 2-bedroom, and then I had a person from a 1-bedroom move up and fill it at a higher rate than the current one was paying. So I had a 1-bedroom move to a 2-bedroom pretty instant within a week of move out, which was great. And then that 1-bedroom, I had a guy from a studio move over there at a higher rate. It was just quick turnarounds. And I know I'm still producing vacancies, but I'd rather a studio be empty at $1,100 a month than a 2-bedroom at $1,850. So all things considered, I was able to fill those up pretty quick.
Math,
overall. We still have our remodel going on for that owl house, but we are 99% done, with final touches tomorrow. We have staging going in later this week, and then I'll probably do it coming soon this week and on market next week. So we are pretty much done with that. All in, including some outstanding invoices we have to pay, and we're about $53K for the remodel. And our scope did grow from start. Initially, we weren't going to redo the kitchen cabinets. We ended up doing that. We put in a new front door, back door, upgraded some appliances, and then actually made a laundry room, which is pretty cool. They had the laundry in the garage, and we made a room out of it. So I had to do extra duct work, some electrical. But even with all that, overall, we're at about $53K for a remodel all in,
Nice.
which a little bit higher than our projected, but we added stuff. So the remodel was slower than I wanted, but we had Thanksgiving in there, Christmas, and a few things that kind of pushed it. But we're almost done and ready for sale. Action steps from last month, it was kind of finish this remodel, which I'd say we're pretty much there. Some move outs and turnovers, we completed those and got people moved in. Action steps for next month, still honing in on our lead generation through the mailers. I talked about last month, I'm doing a mailer a week now, about 1,500 a week for those, and getting people to call in and making some offers and looking at houses, which is good. Just need some of those to convert. And then did our second month with the cold call company. And I think the holidays slowed things down, but I was able to pull a pretty good list this past month for them, skip traced and found the houses. And we're getting a lot of leads. Some of them are not great leads. Some of them are not the distressed sellers we're looking for, but leads are coming in, and I'm talking to people, connecting with people, which is more than I can say over last summer, or even in the fall, which was just a couple. So total, I think through our mailing campaigns and cold calling, we're at about like 55 leads, and these are people who've expressed interest in selling their house in the next year. And it kind of lines up with what I've heard from this. It's cold outreach, and different people say 1 out of every 40 leads you can wholesale, buy, flip. So we're 1 out of 55, but a lot of those, it takes time to nurture and convert. And that's a big thing for this next month and year is someone calls, they want to sell, or they have interest, or they got our mail, or they want more information. They're not ready to sell next month. They need to be nurtured and talked to and followed up with for, people say, a year, 2 years, could be 3. So I'm utilizing my CRM a lot more. I updated our follow-up campaigns and sequences and different tagging. And if someone gets in the initial short term, they'll be, and they don't opt out and they don't cuss me out, they'll be communicated with for the next 2 years. So I have it up to 2 years. And at that point, it's kind of falls into a dead lead that I can re-up. But it's a lot of communication. Yeah.
I'll try and be vague with this if you don't want to get into it. But you had 2 that you talked to me about on the phone that didn't go through. Are you guys setting up sequences to try and, with follow-up, to recapture people like that?
Yeah, the 2.
And if you're cool with talking about it, you want to fill in some details for the people who are listening?
Yeah. So I went on 2 appointments, I think the week before Christmas. Houses are actually close to each other. One of the guys, they live in the East or the West Valley. They want to move not too far away, just a bigger house, but their house needs work. I gave them an offer while I was there. I did research prior to going on the appointment and kind of told him a number I thought that it would work. They just need a little more time. He's like, I called him again, followed up. He's like, yeah, thanks for the offer. We're still talking about with the wife. Give me a call back in, I think it was 2 weeks at the time. And I called him again. He's like, I need a little more time. So that one, it's kind of more manual right now. I know him. I got the address. I put in tasks in our CRM. So I don't have them in a campaign just because it's so short term. I'm manually putting in the tasks and follow up. The other one, their house was in like perfect condition. And if I bought it, I would just list it for sale the next day. And I told her that. And that one, I offered to list it for her. I said, I can't beat what the market can give you. So she's considering just listing it with me. And they're out of state. They bought this house as the retirement home. They don't want to retire in Arizona anymore. Again, that one's also a kind of a manual follow-up. First name basis, she knows me. I've called a couple times, and I think she said to follow up this week again. Those are 2.
Kudos to you on that, because when I was doing real estate, I heard about wholesalers, and I wasn't a huge fan of it, and part of it, I didn't understand the target audience all the way. But it seems that you're trying to get people to sell you a house for less than it's actually worth, and it's for you to have just the honesty with them as far as like, hey, your house can sell on the market and get a full market value. You get to capture both sides of it, and I think that's one of the great things that you have is the understanding of, hey, there are types of homes that should be and need to be wholesaled, because there's an industry that is ready to accept those, where the general public isn't going to buy it in the condition that it's in. But for the ones that you do see like that, you're not coming in and trying to underhand it anyway and say, let me see if I can get a sweet deal in here. And so I feel like that goes to your honesty and integrity, where from the small amount that I know about the wholesaling market, like there's some guys where it very much is just a dollars and cents game. So kudos to you on that very much. But it's also you've set yourself up in that position where you can play on both sides to make it work.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Thad. And I mean, this house, I told her, if I were to buy it, I wouldn't do anything. They had replaced their AC. There's new carpeting, the countertops. It's just perfect. Anyone can move in. I told her my goal. I said, if I bought it, I'd buy it and I'd list it for sale the next day, because I wouldn't need to do anything. You painted the exterior. It's like perfect. said, but I'll happy to list it for you and help you sell it. And so I gave her a price I would pay. I got closing costs on both sides. I got some holding time. Like you can buy it, or I can buy it at this price, but I think it would be perfect for someone to move into. And so on that aspect, that I learned from a friend. He's wholesaled a lot. He's a traditional realtor, and they flipped a lot. He'd go into the appointments kind of the opposite. He would go in as, I'm a realtor, and he wasn't, doing a sleight of hand, but he'd go in as the realtor, but the house wasn't any condition to buy for someone. So he'd say, I can buy it from you today for this price or a week. And that's how he bought a ton of his houses. So I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm toying around with going as in marketing a separate campaign as Connor the realtor, and then doing what my friend did is, I can buy your house also for this price or list it for you. But I don't want to do that many listings. Maybe I do. I'll have someone to help me out. So I have 3 exit strategies. One is to wholesale it, or to buy it and relist it, or I've given out a couple referrals also. So given the contact and lead to a friend who's going to follow up, because their house is in great shape. It's nicer, bigger than anything I want to buy, but I'll get a referral fee if he can list it and sell it. And it's a part of town I don't want to go to, Queen Creek, too far away. It's too far.
Is there a reason why because this feels like a little bit of a departure from the like owner landlord kind of role? Is there any insight you can give in terms of why you've kind of pivoted towards leads and why this has become more interesting for you?
Yeah. So probably the past 5 years, we've bought properties as rentals, and we've held a lot, but we could have bought a lot more and sold a lot more and wholesaled, but we didn't have the capital to keep all of them. And rentals, they're really good to build wealth over a long time. They're pretty stable. It's pretty steady. I was finding where there was nothing I could do without purchasing another house, but there was nothing I could do to generate more income. If we're 100% occupied,
yep,
the best I could do is buy a new house. But those houses were from other wholesalers or from listed properties, or maybe on the off chance a neighbor calls. So I'm trying to get in the floor underneath before the listing goes to market, before the wholesaler gets it, and have more options for those houses. So rather than the rents don't make sense for this neighborhood, and this HOA is a little bit too high, and it's a year I don't want to buy, I can say, no, I will buy it. I can make money on it, and I don't have to hold it for 5 years. I can flip it, sell it, list it, refer it. More revenue generation, just giving us more options too. But the big piece was being able to generate and more leads and cherry pick the ones we want to keep. So out of this, all the leads I have, we might come away with some rentals maybe. But if at the bottom, we'll at least wholesale or sell some or flip some. So that answered the question.
Yeah. No, I think that's great insight. Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
It allows you to keep the best and sell the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just come up with that, Thaddeus?
I did. I was proud of myself.
And one of the hardest aspects is actually finding the deal. So I figured if I can actually be able to crack cold mail and mailing campaigns and cold calling and actually do this, a lot of people can't. They don't want to. Flippers don't want to. Rental guys, they might buy one a year. They're not going to do it. So I can actually do this, and then we have just more options to sell the leads or refer them out. And so that was the objective. Goal for this year is, I think a good one is to flip, wholesale, or list one house per month is my goal. That'd be 12. And we will see how that goes. I got high hopes. The leads are coming in, and they take time to nurture and follow up. And we are doing that. So one thing I want to highlight is I targeted a list of foreclosures, which a lot of people do. You can pull these lists pretty easy. Within like a short amount of time, I think it was 10 days, I was getting leads, foreclosure leads, people, their houses that are going to auction and they need to sell. But oftentimes these people, if they're 10 days left to foreclose and they don't have a plan, there's something going on in their life, or they don't really understand the severity of what can actually happen. And in the past 2 weeks, I talked to these people. You can see the auction date on their house. It's going to auction. And one of these houses, it got foreclosed. And the other, someone bought it. And these are two people I was talking to. I could have bought from them. So it kind of shows, I don't know, the ruthlessness of it, or how many people are contacting them, or if I called sooner, or followed up more, or presented an offer quicker. Kind of shows that these people were ready to sell their house, and I need to capitalize on helping them purchasing quicker. So that's something I'm gonna work on this next month and year.
Okay, sweet.
That's what I got. Alex.
All right. It's been an interesting year. I feel like we've come through a lot, and we've gone through a lot. So it's cool to see how you guys have grown a lot in your business. I'm going to talk a little bit about AI, and then I'll talk about some of what my future looks like, especially with the business stuff being a little bit more ambiguous and being under wraps. I won't go into too much detail, but I have a couple goals just for overall development, because I think it's going to be useful. But in terms of AI news, I think some important stuff to see in December is how seriously Google has been catching up to the pack. We talked a little bit about it in November, but it got to the point where ChatGPT and OpenAI were like, okay, guys, code red, stop everything else you're doing, pause, and we need to focus on this model. And they immediately released ChatGPT 5.2. They are realizing that Google is much farther ahead than anybody thought they were. Part of that is due to the whole ecosystem that Google has, right? The Google Suite, Google Docs, Google Sheets, but a big part of it is Google Chrome, and being the key thing that people use to access the internet. We saw people were very doom and gloom at first when it was like Perplexity and ChatGPT being able to do web search, like, no one's going to use Google anymore, they're going to be extinct. And Google took that to heart, and they are really ramping that up. So it's kind of insane to see the progression in the last couple of months as Google's really kind of entered the race now. And you're just seeing the overall domination there. So I'm really interested to see what those kind of models look, how they look in the future. But the other thing that's really interesting is the open source side of things. So China's DeepSeek model, which open source basically just means you can see all the underlying code behind it. So if I'm a company and I have the resources that I want to have my own AI, that I want to have, proprietary data, I want to make sure I actually own everything start to finish, I can download a DeepSeek model right now. It can be closed system. It's all within my network. It's not sending my information to China or anything like that. And I can have my own personal AI that is almost as good as Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude. That is a big deal. We have never seen this in the AI race, where an open source model is anything remotely near that. So that's pretty insane to think about. Not only that, but if you're using China's DeepSeek model and you want to do like APIs and do some code stuff on the back, it's 90% cheaper. That is a crazy amount of undercutting that's going on there. So China is stepping up in full force, doing what it does best in terms of knocking off, in a lot of regards, what's working here in the US at a massively discounted rate. So it's insane to see what's going on there. The big theme, I would say, for the last quarter that you've seen is agentic AI. So everyone's kind of talked about, okay, AI, it's actually able to
Alex,
do a little
real
bit
quick,
more.
before we move on from that, just to make sure I understand the difference between the open source and the closed with what China's doing on that. So I understand that ChatGPT, they're closed because they're trying to keep they're They're trying to be very cutting edge. They feel like they've got a team of A players that they're going to be able to develop it, so they don't want everyone to essentially just be able to copy and paste the cutting edge stuff. Why would DeepSeek not do the same and think that, hey, we're going to catch up or do something like that? Is it a way to almost say, hey, we're a cheaper option, and so it's a way to get more of the mass adoption that way for usership? Or is there something else with that allows them to progress their development quicker? How does that work?
Think about the overall economic policies of China in general, in terms of it's undercut until you run them out of business and then own it all yourself. And then you got no other option. So having an open source model that is as competitive as a model that's going to cost you 90, so much more for the exact same service or very similar quality stuff, you're undercutting and taking that business from other things. The other alternative is, the other thing that's nice about having open source is it's typically a lot more collaborative. People are a lot more willing to build stuff off of your models, and it gives you free training data. And basically, so if I keep it internal, they can't see that. But if I use their model and I want them to host it, and they're cheaper than anybody else, a lot of early developers and a lot of smaller companies are going to utilize that and build their infrastructure on DeepSeek, which gives them a lot. They're going to win the information race. The reason why they're able to do that is their training methods cost about 1/50th of the training cost in the US. So that's
training
insane.
Of the model.
Training of the model, which is very expensive, very resource intensive. They're making some insane claims that people still haven't been able to validate yet, verify yet, but it's really hard to argue with the benchmark results because they are very competitive. So it's very interesting to see how we've never been in this position where an open source model is near the performance of a closed source model like ChatGPT or Gemini. So even Facebook started with open source, and they had Llama. That was like their big open source that people loved for a while. And then as Meta realized how behind they were getting, they actually switched to closed source because they're like, no, we need people actually like building stuff upon us. So DeepSeek is doing a little bit of both. They're offering, hey, if you want to build it on our platform and have us host it, we'll happily do it for 1/10 of the cost. Or we're making it open source. Hey, look how amazing we are. Look how awesome we are. You just have it in your own thing. So it's almost like building that brand.
So if you have someone who's tech savvy, probably in a larger company with a full-blown IT department, they can take the DeepSeek program, put it on their servers, and run it internally there. So it doesn't share any data. But if you've got a smaller company, more regional, they can get it set up where instead of saying we're going to bring it in-house to our personal servers, you can use the servers through DeepSeek and do all that stuff there. So any of the data that is interacted with on DeepSeek, they can use as training data on their side?
Yes. So
okay.
Another way to think about it too, from a price perspective, if I'm using any tool that is using AI nowadays, almost always, if I'm like automating a workflow, or I wanted to do some analysis for me, or I wanted to plug into X, Y, or Z, a lot of these tools are really agnostic on the model that you use. So you can use whatever model you use. So if I, as a business, can go in and get near similar results for 1/10 of the cost, why would I not pick that? That's where it's coming down to.
Sense.
Most companies at this stage are not complex enough or have the IT like infrastructure or employee types to be able to set up their own local AI that's like fully protective. They are fully trusting that
all of this is on the edge of development anyway. So even if you had a company that would be S&P 500, or the top Inc. 1000, whatever it is, companies, it's why would you put all the infrastructure into it when this is such a aggressive growth period? It's like hosted on theirs, it's cheaper, whatever, it's fine.
I am watching, even at the and I'm talking about, these are the companies with thousands of employees. I am watching them jump from platform to platform every few months. There's no this is so different from in the past where Google and Microsoft and Apple were all fighting to have the best programming language. So you would build everything on their infrastructure. It's not like that. And it's so bizarre because of this. Everyone is switching. It's like, oh, great. ChatGPT was awesome. Everyone will buy the professional license for ChatGPT. And then 2 months in, Google comes out with this brand new feature, and oh my gosh, it works really well with Google Suite. And oh my gosh, the VO video stuff is amazing. Okay, cancel ChatGPT. Let's buy Gemini for a couple months. Oh, great. Claude just came out with this brand new thing for coding. Great. So let's buy this instead. And it's insane to watch entire organizations do this, not just consumers.
Does that create almost a cannibalization of productivity when you're switching between AI services like that all the time? Especially like we talked before the podcast, I signed up for ChatGPT for a year for their premium version or whatever, and then realized it wasn't integrating with the Google Suite, and I have a Google Sheets Empire. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to go get Gemini. But for me, it's like I figured that out within a week. And it's also, the people that are going to be using it is going to be me and two other people, and it's really me and one other person for the most part. So we're a speedboat. We can turn quickly, but a lot of these larger companies, they're a large carrier ship in the middle of the sea where it's like they can't make those same turns, and it seems that they're playing with the light switch, which ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, like just all that back and forth.
I think the difference this time around is unlike going between, like if you use an Android phone and then you switch to an iPhone, you have to like learn it from scratch, right? Navigation's completely different. The shortcuts are different. The gestures all completely different. However, when you switch between ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, the way you interact with it isn't going to change. You don't need to prompt differently. You don't need to explain things differently. Like the use case is fairly the same. And like I said, from the tool
any
perspective,
of the data integration or anything like that different? Is there does that like do you have to rewrite workflows or any of that stuff, or is that really beyond what people are using it for right now?
No, the thing is nowadays most tools that you're building AI related stuff for, it's a single line that's saying pull this from ChatGPT. And if I switch to Gemini and Gemini is now better, I just change that single line to say, okay, now use Gemini. That's it. It's like they're switching it in and out is so easy, and it's not like you have to learn a brand new tool or learn a brand new language or programming language or anything like that. It is really you can hot swap any of this as much as you want. So the only difference now is certain capabilities in terms of what do you need to do. If you need to do coding, Claude is probably better. If you need to integrate with browsers and Excel or not Excel, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Gemini is going to be a lot better at that because it's all within Google. But who knows? A couple months from now, it might be, hey, now ChatGPT has this new integration that makes it way easier to use here. It's insane to see the levels of progress and what they're able to do completely by themselves now. So I know that sounds a little hypey, but it is really interesting to see at the company level of just like how these bigger companies are handling it, and how they're very agnostic. I don't think I've met a single executive, or especially on the IT side, that is like, yes, we will only use ChatGPT going forward. It's just no, okay, whatever's going to do the best. And right now that's Gemini, or right now that's ChatGPT, or whatever. It's insane. So, speaking of which, with agentic AI, stuff you're seeing now is we've kind of talked about it over the past couple of months with MCPs, which is basically just different connections that you can set up to tools, to entire reworks of tools that are making it more AI friendly. You're really starting to see AI be able to kind of be a lot more autonomous. And you're starting to see a little bit of what people were promising a year or 2 years ago. You're seeing some of that now. So, for example, today, I had a presentation that I was trying to exert a ton of information and build like a list of formulas of, okay, here's all the stuff that was in this 12-slide presentation. And I sent the presentation, and it was a mixture of images, it was screenshots, text, shapes, all this kind of stuff. And it took it a while, but ChatGPT was able to analyze all of those slides and spit out 90% of the stuff that I needed it to into an Excel and say, oh, okay, this formula is this, this, and this. And it got that from a collection of screenshots, which as it's going through its thinking stuff, it's like, oh, I scanned all the text. The text is missing some information. Maybe this image has it. It converted the PowerPoint to a PDF and then analyzed the image of the PDF to be able to pull the full picture together and say, oh, okay, this is what I was missing because I couldn't read the image. Now I converted it to a PDF so I could use it, and now I have the full context here. That is crazy to me, and that's something I don't think people necessarily understand.
No, they don't. I don't fully understand.
I was going to say the same thing.
But so, I mean, the big thing that you're going to see in 2026 is they're going to be a lot more autonomous. So ChatGPT is setting up its own essential virtual instances. So when you say, hey, go code this thing, it'll be able to test it in its own computer, essentially. It'll be able to write stuff and validate it and act more like a human would under whatever these tasks. I don't think it's going to be at the level where it's like, oh, great, we can now say bye to Alex's job, because there's still so much to work out and people aren't great at communicating. That's honestly the biggest thing. And AI is still too much of a yes man for it to be successful. In terms of, if you guys think about it, if someone wants to reno their house and like, great, I want to knock down this load-bearing wall. And you said, that's not a good idea. You should not knock down this load-bearing wall without doing these alternatives. And like, you don't know what you're talking about. Just knock down the load-bearing wall. AI will say, yep, we can do it. And it doesn't think about the consequences. Yeah. So you need something that can think through, that can have a conversation and even argue for the benefit and say, hey, it's worthwhile to consider it an alternative because the path you're going down isn't going to get you what you want. So, other takeaways that I kind of have that my general recommendations, especially for small business owners, is don't just start buying models. Don't go buy pro models just because you hear someone say, hey, Claude is amazing, you need to go use it. No, like, try all the free models first. Hit the limitations there. Once you hit the limitations, then look at buying pro. But don't just, it's really easy to get FOMO on some of this stuff. Just try to use it in your day-to-day life. If you're not sure on how you want to use it, ask the AI itself, like, hey, I am a real estate business owner. I'm trying to do investing. How can I use AI better? And have it answer and see if any of that's useful. If it's not, then move on. Don't overthink it. The second thing is, if you are going to start trying to build automations and have AI kind of work around it, you have to build the workflow around the AI. That means making things that are AI readable, having it, making it easy for AI to interact with it if it needs to interact with something. It's not about.
We ran into that.
Yes. It's not about trying to shove AI into whatever your existing process is. It's about starting from scratch and saying, how do we build AI? How do we build this around AI? And sometimes the answer is it's probably not a thing for AI. Sometimes you just need to have a simple process where you need to think it through yourself, make sure it works. And I think a lot of people can catch up on the FOMO and then end up building something that isn't actually useful and just kind of waste money and time.
Which, to that point, like, you and I had the conversation about, I was trying to start automating more of the stuff I was doing. And as we were looking at it, I think we spent, was it half an hour to an hour on the phone? And yep. I called you like 5 minutes after we got off the phone, and I'm like, am I doing this the stupid way? And I just need to not try and rebuild everything brick by brick right now, but just figure out, because I'm only going to get like 20% more efficient, where realistically I could get the 15% efficiency that I'm looking for just by changing my workflow rather than trying to get AI layered on top of it and then have to go through however much work of checking it, double checking it, rebuilding all the stuff that we've already built on the back end. And I was very upfront with at the beginning where I was like, hey, if I got to do this brick by brick, like I'm not married to the thing that I built already, but calling you and I was like, am I doing this the hard way? And you're like, yeah, probably. And I was like, all right, let's move on.
But I think sometimes you need to go through that because, you know, I think it's worth at least giving it a shot, because now you have better clarity versus if you hadn't tried it, you might have a lingering thought of, oh wait, maybe it can do all this amazing stuff that they promised in my specific situation. And then the more you get into it, you're like, at this stage, that's probably not your biggest problem.
At the very least, it's a kick in the pants to look at the processes that we do have and say, hey, other people are saying they're able to use it to make this faster.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's overblown, but what do we need to do with our process to make it better, faster, all those things?
Yep, exactly. So
Cool.
a couple, so two more quick examples about how you can build the workflow around AI, not AI around the workflow. Instead of trying to say like, oh, I'm just going to have AI write emails for me, that doesn't really work. That's going to be really crappy. But you can eliminate 80% of the emails you're writing by using a self-service knowledge base and automate responses. So you can, something actually I discovered alongside with Thaddeus is something called Notebook LM, which is a Google product, and you can dump like YouTube videos, PDFs, images, text, whatever, and you can do up to 50 at a time, and it essentially creates a big cluster that you can ask questions about. So some people will use that to study, and they'll say, hey, take all this material and turn it into a podcast so I can listen to a podcast about, 13th century.
And your team can use that, correct?
People can, if you're a business and you own the Google suite, you can have everyone have access to it. So if there's process documents and say, hey, what's our process for invoicing a customer? You're like, hey, great, here you go. Here's the immediate information. So it can make,
and that for me is the really important one, especially like how we talked about. For me, it's this year trying to focus on bringing two people up to speed. A lot more this year is to say, we could go in and ask AI, hey, how would you do this? And it'll spit out its version of how we do it, how you could do it. But if, like you said, if we're creating the specific context, that then the AI is more transmitting the they become more of the teacher rather than the curriculum writer at that point.
Yes, yeah. I think they help deliver the data or deliver the specific information. It saves people a lot of time in terms of if you have got like hundreds of pages of stuff and you're like, I just need to know, hey, when was Rome invaded by Carthage? It's like, great, here you go. Here's all the information there. And I think that is really cool because it's like your own personal Google. And I think that can be extremely useful. Another example is instead of having it just write bland like social posts for you, have it actually analyzing social success and see, hey, okay, of these 100 posts by some of my favorite creators, which ones do well, what's commonalities between them. That is something AI is so good at, is identifying trends and doing analysis there. And I think there's a lot of value that people really haven't tapped into from that end of just giving it a huge set of data and saying, okay, hey, what is stuff that you're seeing here that I might not be? So I think all of that can be extremely helpful. So hope that helps. And then just a quick little goal for myself this year is to figure out social media a little bit. That's something that I've seen a lot of people doing social well. I'm trying to break down bits of success into small actionable things to be able to say and then try it out myself rather than just talk like I know anything. I got to be able to prove it myself. So make a few videos, see how that goes, and then report back and see how that can help anyone else. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
Connor, I think you and I are going to go viral once he figures it out.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the appointments I went on, the lady whose house was ready for sale. She goes, "I looked at your social media and I'm impressed." I go, "Oh wow,
There you go.
I gotta beef that up still." Yeah.
There you go.
No.
All right. I'm sure we're tired of our own thoughts. So, Thaddeus, what are your company thoughts?
All right, company thoughts is a section where we try and take it and address it very much like we're addressing to the company. And a lot of times I actually take this time to put in stuff that I use when addressing the people that work with me. So this one is on bundled terms, and this was a conversation we had on Friday, just laying out my goal for 2026 with them, and we kind of talked about it already. But right now, I've got my sister working with me in the office, and I've very much thrown her into the deep end for the office just because it's been like, I've got to go do stuff in the field. You work here in the office. Here's kind of general outline of what I want you to do. Go figure it out. And then with my cousin who's working with me in the field, we're touching so many different skills. And then we're also supposed to be leading projects that involve so many different trades that I'm a decade into this, and things that are second nature to me, I go through, right. I remember you have to learn these different things. You have to learn almost the feel of how to do the different tasks to be able to do it correctly, stuff like that. So, but what I talked to them about was this idea of bundled terms that I want it to be that throughout this year, I can start telling them, hey, go do this task. And it's more vague as far as, hey, go take care of whatever on the cold outreach side, go take care of whatever on the management, go manage a project. And it doesn't have to be broken down into, hey, here's each individual task that we have, and here's how to do each individual task. So what we talked about and what I felt like I had done well earlier this year, but got a little bit away from, was with my cousin in the field, I would explain something to him, and over the next couple of weeks, spend time quizzing him on it. And one of the easy ones was, and this is nerd talk, you can kind of just delete it from your brain if you want, but with doors, windows, in framing, we have jack studs, king studs, headers. And so it can be difficult to remember what each one is, where each one is, but it's very important because at a certain point you can almost start to see through walls with what's happening. So showed him what it was and then started quizzing him on it. Would show him different things with cabinetry and start quizzing him on it because you start to understand the layout. And I was very upfront with them just as far as, hey, I'm going to get back to that. We're going to be doing that, not because we're trying to make it so nitpicky, but we want everyone to be on the same page with the verbiage. What does everything mean? So that we can have these conversations with these bundled terms, that we can have the conversation, hey, I need this to happen, or I need that task to take place. And we don't have to get so into the nitty gritty or have confusion on expectations, stuff like that. So that was my kind of directive for 2026, along with we're going to make 2026 profitable.
Awesome.
Cool.
Make it a good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, where can they find you?
Find me at Connor Teich Real Estate on Instagram, and then trinityhomesarizona.com.
Nice. You can find me at control-analytics.com or on LinkedIn, Alex Von Reich.
And you can find us at Sito Building on Instagram, sitobuilding.com for our website.
So until next time.
Hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your work blessed.
See you, everybody.